When I handed Jessica the scrapbook at the rehearsal dinner, she leaned in close. Her perfume smelled sweet, but her words were ice cold. She whispered, "After tomorrow, you're not part of this family anymore." It felt like she slapped me. I just stood there, frozen, clutching the scrapbook I'd spent 3 weeks putting together. Each photo, each handwritten note, every memory of raising Daniel on my own for 27 years. Jessica didn't even look at it. She gave me a fake, polite smile and said, "You've done your part, Mrs. Miller. Now stay out of our future. Don't embarrass yourself by showing up tomorrow." I couldn't reply. My throat closed up. I just nodded, turned around, and left with what little dignity I had left. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the pale blue dress I'd hung up for the wedding, the one Daniel once said I looked beautiful in. I didn't sleep. Her words ran through my mind again and again. "You're just extra baggage." By morning, for the first time in 27 years, I chose myself. I stayed home for my only son's wedding. I raised Daniel by myself after his father left when he was 7. I still remember that night. Daniel hugged his toy dinosaur and cried, asking over and over, "Mommy, when is Daddy coming home?" I didn't know what to say, so I just held him and promised I'd never leave. From then on, it was always the two of us. I worked double shifts in the hospital cafeteria. Some nights I was so tired I fell asleep in my uniform. I gave up all the promotions, skipped vacations, let my dreams fade away. I learned to stretch $1 as far as I could. I went to every parent-teacher conference, every soccer game, every school play. I never let Daniel feel the loss of his father like I had felt it. When he graduated high school with honors, I cried in the parking lot, just so proud. When he got into law school, he hugged me and said, "Mom, I want to become a lawyer to protect people, like you always protected me." Those words kept me going through years of exhaustion and emptiness. 3 years ago, Daniel brought Jessica home. She was stunning, confident, and ambitious, working in marketing. Daniel looked at her like she was the sun. I wanted to like her. Really, I did. But little things started to bother me. When Daniel left the room, her tone with me got sharp, impatient. She spoke to me like I was just wasting her time. She never asked about my life or how I raised Daniel. She only talked about herself, her big career, her wealthy friends, Daniel's bright future as a lawyer. I kept quiet, told myself I was being too protective, maybe imagining things. But the red flags kept coming. On Daniel's birthday last year, I stayed up late baking his favorite chocolate fudge cake, something I did every year since he was 10. I brought it out, proud, and Jessica smiled and said, "Oh, how quaint, but Daniel is on a new diet now." She just took the knife from me and pushed the cake aside. Daniel laughed awkwardly and kissed my cheek, but I caught the guilty look in his eyes. Still, I smiled. That's what mothers do. When they got engaged, Jessica took over the wedding completely. Left me out of dress shopping, cake tasting, even the guest list. Whenever I offered to help, she gave me that tight smile. "Don't worry, Mrs. Miller, just show up looking nice, okay?" Every time hurt, but I swallowed it for Daniel. Then, the night before the wedding, Jessica dropped her mask. On the morning of the wedding, I woke early. I made coffee, laid out my blue dress, and just stared at it. Jessica's cutting words echoed in my mind. "After tomorrow, you're not part of this family anymore." I sat at the kitchen table, hands shaking, and made the hardest choice of my life. I wasn't going. By 8 a.m., my phone started buzzing. "Daniel, Mom, where are you? Everyone's asking." "My sister, Margaret, the ceremony starts soon." I set the phone face down and cried quietly. It felt like I was abandoning my son on the biggest day of his life. But I couldn't pretend to be happy in a room where I'd just been told I was no longer welcome. At 10:45, my sister came barreling through my door in her bridesmaid dress. "What are you doing? Your son is getting married." I looked at her, tears in my eyes. "Jessica told me last night that after today I'm no longer part of this family. She doesn't want me there, so I'm not going." She sat down in shock. She actually said that. I nodded. By 11, the church bells were ringing. I stayed on my couch, staring at the scrapbook under my bed, feeling empty. At 12:05, my sister called again. Her voice shook. "Margaret, you need to sit down. The wedding is canceled." What happened next spread fast, everywhere. Just half an hour before the ceremony, Daniel's best man showed him photos on his phone. Jessica, in the arms of her boss just 2 weeks earlier. The same mentor she always talked about. Daniel was shattered, but that wasn't the whole story. As guests whispered in the church, Jessica's drunk maid of honor blurted something even bigger. Jessica's family was swimming in debt, multiple bankruptcies. Her father lost millions. They saw Daniel, a soon-to-be lawyer, as a financial lifeline. The prenup Jessica had insisted on, it would have sent 75% of Daniel's future earnings straight to her father's accounts for the first 10 years. She didn't love my son. She wanted to use him. When Daniel confronted her, Jessica blamed me, said I poisoned his mind with jealousy. But this time, Daniel saw the truth. He canceled the wedding on the spot. Jessica and her family didn't go quietly. Within hours, they started a smear campaign. Jessica went on social media crying, saying I ruined her life and was a bitter, jealous mother-in-law. Her family sent me threatening legal letters, defamation, emotional damages, even interference with contractual relations. For days, hostile messages flooded my inbox. "Monster. Jealous old hag. You destroyed your son's life." Even some relatives began to doubt me. It hurt in ways I can't explain. But this time, I didn't shrink back. With help from my friend Linda, who works as a legal assistant, I gathered it all: the predatory prenup, bankruptcy records, screenshots, emails. We gave everything to an investigative journalist. A week later, the story went viral. Canceled wedding exposes fiancé's secret affair and family's financial scam. People who'd insulted me started apologizing. Some even called me a hero for protecting Daniel. Jessica's perfect reputation vanished. 2 weeks after the cancellation, Jessica's family invited Daniel to a posh hotel for a so-called peace talk. I went with him, this time wearing the blue dress I never got to wear to the wedding. I set a thick folder on the table and read aloud all the damning clauses of the prenup. The room went silent. Jessica's father started to sweat. Jessica finally dropped her act. Daniel stood tall and looked her right in the eye. "You told my mother she wasn't part of this family," he said, voice steady. "But you were never going to be part of ours." We walked out together. Back home on the porch, Daniel held my hand tight, just like he used to when he was little. "Mom," he whispered through tears, "I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have seen it." I pulled him close and said, "You see it now, sweetheart. That's what matters." These days, Daniel is busy with work and starting to heal. The two of us are closer than ever, and I finally learned something big after all these years. Sometimes the bravest thing a mother can do is refuse to disappear when someone tries to erase her. My name is Margaret Miller. I raised my son alone. I protected him, even when it hurt. And I will never apologize for choosing myself when no one else would.